It should not cramp on me again, unless it gets too cold in the night. I wonder what this night will bring. An airplane passed overhead on its course to Miami, and he watched its shadow scaring up the schools of flying fish. With so much flying fish there should be dolphin, he said, and leaned back on the line to see if it was possible to gain any on his fish. But he could not, and it stayed at the hardness and water drop shivering that preceded breaking. The boat moved ahead slowly, and he watched the airplane, until he could no longer see it. It must be very strange in an airplane, he thought. I wonder what the sea looks like from that height. They should be able to see the fish well if they do not fly too high. I would like to fly very slowly at 200 fathoms high, and see the fish from above. In the turtle boats I was in the cross trees of the masthead, and even at that height I saw much. The dolphin look greener from there, and you can see their stripes and their purple spots, and you can see all of the school as they swim. Why is it that all the fast-moving fish of the dark current have purple backs and usually purple stripes or spots? The dolphin looks green, of course, because he is really golden. But when he comes to feed, truly hungry, purple stripes show on his sides as on a marlin. Can it be anger, or the greater speed he makes that brings them out? Just before it was dark, as they passed a great island of sargasso weed, that heaved and swung in the light sea, as though the ocean were making love with something under a yellow blanket, his small line was taken by a dolphin. He saw it first when it jumped in the air, true gold in the last of the sun and bending and flapping wildly in the air. It jumped again and again in the acrobatics of its fear, and he worked his way back to the stern, and crouching and holding the big line with his right hand and arm, he pulled the dolphin in with his left hand, stepping on the gained line each time with his bare left foot. When the fish was at the stem, plunging and cutting from side to side in desperation, the old man leaned over the stern, and lifted the burnished gold fish with its purple spots over the stem. Its jaws were working convulsively in quick bites against the hook, and it pounded the bottom of the skiff with its long flat body, its tail and its head, until he clubbed it across the shining golden head, until it shivered and was still. The old man unhooked the fish, re-baited the line with another sardine, and tossed it over. He washed his left hand, and wiped it on his trousers. Then he shifted the heavy line from his right hand to his left, and washed his right hand in the sea, while he watched the sun go into the ocean and the slant of the big cord. "He hasn't changed at all," he said. But watching the movement of the water against his hand, he noted that it was perceptibly slower. "I'll lash the 2 oars together across the stern, and that will slow him in the night," he said. "He's good for the night, and so am I." It would be better to gut the dolphin a little later, to save the blood in the meat, he thought. "I can do that a little later, and lash the oars to make a drag at the same time." "I had better keep the fish quiet now, and not disturb him too much at sunset." The setting of the sun is a difficult time for all fish. He let his hand dry in the air, then grasped the line with it, and eased himself as much as he could, and allowed himself to be pulled forward against the wood, so that the boat took the strain as much, or more, than he did. "I'm learning how to do it," he thought. "This part of it anyway." Then too, remember he hasn't eaten since he took the bait, and he is huge and needs much food. "I have eaten the whole bonito. Tomorrow I will eat the dolphin." He called it dorado. "Perhaps I should eat some of it when I clean it." It will be harder to eat than the bonito. But, then, nothing is easy. "How do you feel, fish?" he asked aloud. "I feel good, and my left hand is better, and I have food for a night and a day. Pull the boat, fish." He did not truly feel good, because the pain from the cord across his back had almost passed pain, and gone into a dullness that he mistrusted. "But I have had worse things than that," he thought. "My hand is only cut a little, and the cramp is gone from the other." "My legs are all right. Also now I have gained on him in the question of sustenance." It was dark now, as it becomes dark quickly, after the sun sets in September. He lay against the worn wood of the bow, and rested all that he could. The first stars were out. He did not know the name of Rigel, but he saw it, and knew soon they would all be out, and he would have all his distant friends. "The fish is my friend too," he said aloud. "I have never seen or heard of such a fish. But I must kill him. I am glad we do not have to try to kill the stars." Imagine, if each day a man must try to kill the moon, he thought. The moon runs away. But imagine, if a man each day should have to try to kill the sun? We were born lucky, he thought. Then he was sorry for the great fish that had nothing to eat, and his determination to kill him never relaxed in his sorrow for him. How many people will he feed, he thought. But are they worthy to eat him? No, of course not. There is no one worthy of eating him from the manner of his behavior and his great dignity. I do not understand these things, he thought. But it is good that we do not have to try to kill the sun or the moon or the stars. It is enough to live on the sea and kill our true brothers. Now, he thought, I must think about the drag. It has its perils and its merits. I may lose so much line that I will lose him, if he makes his effort and the drag made by the oars is in place, and the boat loses all her lightness. Her lightness prolongs both our suffering, but it is my safety since he has great speed, that he has never yet employed. No matter what passes, I must gut the dolphin so he does not spoil, and eat some of him to be strong. Now I will rest an hour more and feel that he is solid and steady, before I move back to the stern to do the work, and make the decision. In the meantime I can see how he acts, and if he shows any changes. The oars are a good trick, but it has reached the time to play for safety. He is much fish still, and I saw that the hook was in the corner of his mouth, and he has kept his mouth tight shut. The punishment of the hook is nothing. the punishment of hunger, and that he is against something that he does not comprehend, is everything. Rest now, old man, and let him work until your next duty comes. He rested for what he believed to be 2 hours. The moon did not rise now until late, and he had no way of judging the time. Nor was he really resting except comparatively. He was still bearing the pull of the fish across his shoulders, but he placed his left hand on the gunwale of the bow, and confided more and more of the resistance to the fish to the skiff itself. How simple it would be, if I could make the line fast, he thought. But with one small lurch, he could break it. I must cushion the pull of the line with my body, and at all times be ready to give line with both hands. But you have not slept yet, old man, he said aloud. It is half a day and a night and now another day, and you have not slept. You must devise a way, so that you sleep a little, if he is quiet and steady. If you do not sleep, you might become unclear in the head. I'm clear enough in the head, he thought. Too clear. I am as clear as the stars that are my brothers. Still I must sleep. They sleep and the moon and the sun sleep, and even the ocean sleeps sometimes on certain days when there is no current and a flat calm. But remember to sleep, he thought. Make yourself do it, and devise some simple and sure way about the lines. Now go back, and prepare the dolphin. It is too dangerous to rig the oars as a drag, if you must sleep. I could go without sleeping, he told himself. But it would be too dangerous. He started to work his way back to the stern on his hands and knees, being careful not to jerk against the fish. He may be half asleep himself, he thought. But I do not want him to rest. He must pull until he dies. Back in the stern he turned, so that his left hand held the strain of the line across his shoulders, and drew his knife from its sheath with his right hand. The stars were bright now, and he saw the dolphin clearly, and he pushed the blade of his knife into his head, and drew him out from under the stern. He put one of his feet on the fish, and slit him quickly from the vent up to the tip of his lower jaw. Then he put his knife down, and gutted him with his right hand, scooping him clean, and pulling the gills clear. He felt the maw heavy, and slippery in his hands, and he slit it open. There were 2 flying fish inside. They were fresh and hard, and he laid them side by side, and dropped the guts and the gills over the stern. They sank, leaving a trail of phosphorescence in the water. The dolphin was cold and a leprous gray-white now in the starlight, and the old man skinned one side of him, while he held his right foot on the fish's head. Then he turned him over, and skinned the other side, and cut each side off from the head down to the tail.